Did you know that if you wake up, get some water, make the bed, brush your teeth, do a little mouthwash, wash your face, simple skincare, brush your hair, put on your...
Actually, this is the 21st century human's morning routine. Yeah, it's your routine. Most of the time, you wake up to your alarm, check your phone for a few minutes, make your favorite morning drink, sip it peacefully, use the bathroom, brush your teeth, grab breakfast, and go to work. Or just go back to sleep. It's not a big deal. But what happened in the morning 10,000 years ago? If you woke up in this era, there were no favorite morning drinks, no toothbrushes, and no healthy, tasty breakfast plates. If you wanted breakfast, you had to physically run behind your breakfast. Sometimes this run ended in someone else's stomach, and you became the breakfast. Yeah, it was really bad. Eventually, humanity moved out of caves and into farming villages. We traded the deadly predators for livestock, and our new alarm clock became a reliable, organic one, the rooster. Mornings were no longer about pure survival hunting. Instead of tracking wild game, your morning started with chores, milking cows, feeding livestock, and tending to crops. Breakfast was finally predictable. Families ate what they stored from their own harvests, like grains, bread, or porridge. But as early villages turned into the first cities during the Bronze and Iron Ages, the routine split into different classes. For the first time, you might not wake up to farm. You might wake up to go to work as a blacksmith, a scribe, or a baker. Beer and bread became the ultimate morning staples in places like ancient Egypt, as the fermentation killed off waterborne bacteria. By the time of the classical era in places like Greece and Rome, this era brought hygiene and networking into the morning routine. While the sun still woke most people, wealthy Romans actually had servants wake them. In Rome, the morning was for the salutatio, a daily ritual where lower-class citizens and clients would visit the homes of wealthy patrons to greet them and ask for favors. Morning public baths also became a massive part of daily life. The Romans called breakfast gentaculum. It was very light, usually just bread, cheese, and olives, because eating a heavy morning meal was actually considered gluttonous. Then came the medieval era, which introduced the first widespread form of artificial timekeeping, the local church bells. The general public woke with the dawn bells. Because candles were expensive, everyone was rushing to the fields or the market as soon as the sun was up to make the most of the light. Breakfast was often considered a meal only for children, the elderly, or manual laborers who needed the energy. A common staple was pottage, a thick stew of oats or peas left simmering over the fire from the night before. But then came the most jarring pivot in human history. In the 1800s, millions of people moved from farms into smog-filled cities to work in factories. Suddenly, nature no longer mattered. The clock was the new boss. Morning shifted from natural cycles to the absolute rule of time. Factory whistles or early mechanical alarm clocks woke people up at precise, rigid times, often as early as 5 a.m. Before cheap alarm clocks, in some cities, people called knocker-ups were literally paid to tap on your window with a long stick just to wake you up. Mornings became a rigid, frantic rush out the door to walk to the factory. And to survive those grueling 14-hour manual labor shifts, that is exactly when humanity's mass addiction to coffee became an absolute necessity. Fast forward to the mid-20th century. As white-collar office jobs became the norm, mornings became highly stylized. This era introduced a heavy focus on hygiene and aesthetics, shaving, styling hair, applying makeup, and ironing suits. You woke up to reliable plug-in bedside alarm clocks and morning radio hosts. This was the golden age of heavily marketed boxed sugary cereals, instant coffee, and reading the physical morning newspaper at the kitchen table. Which brings us back to today. We slowly traded physical survival for economic punctuality, and finally for digital productivity. Instead of waking up naturally with our tribe in a shared space, many people spend their mornings completely alone, interacting only with screens. Artificial blue light allows us to override nature entirely, which is why waking up often feels much harder now than it did back then. A caveman's stress was physical, but modern stress is mental and anticipatory, answering unread emails, dreading traffic jams, and meeting deadlines. We've traded the threat of saber-toothed tigers for the dread of morning meetings, but the biological truth is that our bodies are still technically wired for the cave era. That's why taking a few minutes to step outside, get real sunlight, and move around in the morning feels so good. It's what your DNA expects.